Welcome back to the new scroll hole. We're going to be getting into the Watts case year 3 coven. More imagery, more subliminal messages, more numerology, signs, sigils, and symbology. So let's get into it. So if you guys haven't watched our video on how Nichol Kessinger, Chris Watts' Mistress, connects to the new American Horror Story Season 10 coming up, go check that out. But in the meantime and in between time, I wake up this morning and what do I see? American Horror Stories teasers arrive. Fear takes new form and twisted anthology spinoff. We don't have to wait long to watch through our fingers for Ryan Murphy's new spin-off, American Horror Stories. Our nightmares start this summer. Murphy's Instagram says of season 10, double feature, duality. There will be 2 horrifying stories, 1 season. 2 plus 1 is 3. There's the Trinity. One story will be set by the sea, while the other is by the sand. Are you kidding me? Everything we've researched here on New Scroll Hole about the Watts case and Nichol Kessinger, the Mistress, has to do with either the Great Sand Dunes, where they went camping, or the doppelganger who's getting off the plane and on the beach in North and South Carolina, and Shanann's filming it on her live. One of the stories, season 10 of American Horror Story, one of their stories on, this is insanity, guys. Rory Jean Kessinger was thought to be the body by the dunes. And it turns out that it wasn't. For some reason, her name is still attached to this case. The weird thing is that someone smuggled in a hacksaw and she hacksawed the bars off the windows of her jail cell and escaped from prison. That's when this body came up missing. For the body in the dunes had her hands removed so that they couldn't find her fingerprints to identify the body. That's what criminals would do when they would want to pick up a new identification and start life over. So her hands were removed and she was wearing a blue bandana. Shanann Watts, I'm going to remind you guys again, her hands were covered and she was wearing blue underwear. Rory Jean Kessinger was an outlaw. She was a drug runner and a bank robber. She was escaped from prison. She belonged to a gang or a clan. This is during the hippie counterculture when everyone was taking LSD and you could carry a gun. She pulled guns on several police. And the weird thing is, she has several aliases. Her name that she mainly goes by is Rory Jean Kessinger, like Henry Kissinger. And Nichol Kessinger's mother is Barbara Jean Kisinger, allegedly. That is one of the aliases that Rory Jean Kessinger uses. Not only does she spell Jean both with a J and a G, but she also hails from Colorado. Interesting. And then this body was found on the dunes with the hands cut off with a blue bandana on. Then later they did DNA testing on her, Rory Jean Kessinger's mother from Colorado, where Nichol Kessinger is from. Rory Jean Kessinger. In the light of the articles that describe Rory's life, one is struck by the irony of a 1969, notice the numbers, 1 times 9 equals 969. In the light of the articles that describe Rory's life, one is struck by the irony of a 1969 letter to the editor of the Daily Illinois State Journal that her father wrote. Rory Zeddy! Dear editor, as a security director for Myers Brothers, I am deeply concerned over the increasing number of shoplifting cases that are being brought to my attention here in Springfield area. This is by no means the only community in which theft has become a major problem. I just want to note the duality of the two Zettes. You have Dwayne Kessinger, and then you have no name Kessinger. They blocked this guy's name out. So that's weird. You have these two big wigs, and then their daughters are like outlaws, allegedly. Whatever their thing is, kicks derived from the theft would no longer be if these same youths were educated as to the consequences court conviction will have upon their lives. We at Myers Brothers have installed various devices for detecting shoplifters throughout our stores. Our intentions are not only to protect our merchandise against the professional thieves who cost commerce and an industry such an exorbitant amount of money, but to also provide deterrent controls that will keep those few youths from yielding to the temptation of theft. As a member of SCADA, y'all know I had to stop and look up what SCADA means, and it's the Diocese of SCADA with 13 hexagrams, which I guess represents the 13 elite bloodlines. Blank Kessinger, Security Director, Myers Brother Incorporated. Of course, y'all know I had to Google the Myers Brother Incorporation. And the first thing that I saw was Michael Myers, which was pretty creepy. And then I stumbled across Bristol Myers, which is a pharmakia company. Yeah, a huge one. So I guess the Kessinger, aka clan, is into petroleum and pharmakia. Interesting. So let's get back into Rory Kessinger. Or is it Nichol Kessinger? Mystery of Lady of the Dunes. Ebert, Stephen, Boston Globe, Boston, Massachusetts, August 23rd, 1998. This is an excerpt from an article asking if Rory could be the unidentified woman found on Cape Cod in 1974. However, 2002 DNA testing ruled this out. I'm going to give you a little backstory on Miss Rory Jean Kessinger so that you guys have an idea what she's all about. So let's get into that. I'm sorry, but I have to kill you, she said. He dove for her, pushed the gun to the side, threw her on the floor, and handcuffed her. You would just not think that a nice-looking girl like that would kill you in a heartbeat, he said. Wow. Police took Kesinger to the hospital where she ended up stealing another officer's weapon. Die, you effing pig, she hollered, aiming at the officer. Again, she was thwarted. He flung up his hand and was able to keep the gun from firing. She was charged with 2 counts of assault with intent to murder and sent to Plymouth County Jail, said Sheriff Peter Foreman. She didn't wait for trial. Sometime between the night of May 26, 1973, and the following morning, she escaped using a hacksaw blade that someone had smuggled into the jail for her. She went to the window of the laundry room, tied together sheet after sheet, and hacked the bar of the window until she could squeeze herself through. Then she lowered herself to freedom. Someone must have been waiting for her nearby in a car, Foreman said. She was never seen again, but her mark was indelible. In the old prison, which is still up, you can still see the cut marks on the bars where she cut out, Foreman said. Again, they took DNA from her mother in Colorado and found it not to be Rory Jean Kessinger. Then we have Chris Watts allegedly strangling and suffocating his pregnant wife Shanann and his 2 young daughters, Bella 4 and Celeste 3, whose bodies were found in the dunes of Colorado, in an oil field out in the dunes, the sand. Shanann was buried in a shallow grave. She had blue underwear, and she had her hands covered. So the body in the dunes, that's going to be part of season 10 American Horror Stories. This is from Shanann Watts, the Watts Family Murder Discovery, and it states the decedent is received in a sealed body bag, clad in the following clothing: a purple t-shirt, a pair of blue underwear, a black bra, a white metal piercing, and paper bags are around each hand.
please. Don't lead on.
If she, you understand where I'm going. If
right,
you didn't know.
You're leading into questions that are nothing with your.
If you didn't know, though.
Wait, Nick.
That she was there.
Did you hear what I said?
I'm following you. I just want her to answer a question that relates to, she said something that's important, that if he didn't have a child on the way, or if she didn't know that, she would have continued the relationship, right?
But he killed his kids. At what point does he think that I'm going to be in a relationship?
In Shanann's, it says her digits are well developed and the fingernails are long and in good repair, although markedly dirty with sand and debris from the grave site. The fingernails are pulled and retained as evidence by law enforcement. Shanann's lower extremities are well developed and symmetrical with all digits present. The toenails are short and in good repair, with the exception of abundant
sandy debris from the grave site.
She had paper bags around her freaking hands. What the F? Now, the body in the dunes that they thought to be Rory Kessinger, but wasn't, they exhumed the body and did DNA testing from her Native American mother from Colorado and found it wasn't her, which is just another weird connection because Chris Watts is allegedly half Cherokee Indian. If you haven't checked out our videos, I will leave links in the description, but check out our other videos because this is getting very art imitating life, or is life imitating art? Question mark. Leave your comments below so far. But listen to the similarities. The victim was laid face down on half of a beach blanket. There were no sign of struggle. Shanann didn't struggle either.
She either knew her killer or had been asleep when she died.
She was wearing a blue bandana, like the blue underwear Shanann had on. A pair of Wrangler jeans were under her head. She had long auburn or red hair pulled back into a ponytail with gold-flecked elastic band. Her toenails were painted pink. As above, so below. So the body in the dunes, or the lady in the dunes, had a blue bandana. Shanann was wearing blue underwear. The body in the dunes was missing her hands. Shanann's hands were covered. The lady on the dunes had both hands and one forearm missing. She also had teeth missing, so they could not identify the body. Her hands were cut off, and she wore a blue bandana. Shanann Watts was buried in a shallow grave in the dunes of Colorado, and her hands were covered. She was wearing blue underwear. Side eye. Meanwhile, Rory Jean Kessinger was a bank robber, outlaw, drug runner. She was with a very seedy clan or cult she ran with. After she escaped from prison, that's when the body of the dunes was discovered on the beach in the sand. And we are the ones that broke the story of Nichol Kessinger, her doppelganger or twin or clone, being on vacation with Chris Watts and Shanann Watts catching her on her live, sitting alone on the sand in South Carolina on Myrtle Beach. So you have the mysterious doppelganger clone of Chris Watts' Mistress about 9 days or a week before he murked his entire family, his pregnant wife and 2 young daughters, while on vacation visiting their family in North Carolina. You have the doppelganger showing up twice, once coming off the plane, then once sitting alone right next to Shanann and her family while Shanann records on Facebook Live, sitting on the beach. Then you have New American Horror Story Season 10 coming out, with one of the stories based on a woman named Rory Jean Kessinger. This is unbelievable, guys. Who is not the body on the dunes, but they thought it to be. They thought she escaped and someone killed her because one of their informants said she's pushing up daisies, when in reality, she escaped from prison and just continued to live her life. Her mother from Colorado, where Nichol Kessinger's from, and where this whole murder went down. The Watts family murder happened in Colorado, and the dunes, and then the bodies. There's just, this is crazy. Comment below what you think so far of this. And before all the naysayers try to come in my comments and say, Nichol Kessinger was too short and Chris Watts was too tall. That can't be Nika coming off the plan. He was literally 5'10", if that's even realistic, because I really believe nothing at this point. Especially now with how suspicious it is that Shanann's family is coming out to debunk this and saying, but we're not going to tell you how we know. And the police checked all the plane records. That's bullshit. They stopped investigating as soon as Chris Watts pled guilty, so that's a fib. That's super shifty and shady. Side eye. Chris Watts, he looks short. He's got tiny hands. Do you know how many people have commented in the comments about how little his hands are, which is really creepy? That those little dainty hands could do all that killing. Leave your thoughts below. Like, comment, subscribe, turn the notifications on so you know when we post. Thanks for walking with us.